Showcasing local talent, professionals, and everyday people making Salt Lake City what it is today. It's time for another episode of the I Am Salt Lake podcast.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of the I Am Salt Lake podcast. My name is Chris Hollifield. This is my show. Thank you so much for listening. This episode, I got to sit down with Mark Benson. He is the chef and mastermind behind Zao Asian Cafe, located right in downtown Salt Lake City. And they have a brand new location that just barely opened up in Sandy. So if you have not eaten there, I cannot urge you enough to go check them out and taste some of their food. And if you see Mark, tell him hello. Tell him you heard him on the I Am Salt Lake podcast. Yeah, go check them out. Their address is 639 East, 400 South, right there on the corner of 7th East and 400 South, right there across the street from Trader Joe's. They're open Monday through Saturday, 10:30 a.m. to 10 p.m., Sunday 11 to 9 p.m. So no excuses to not go check them out. So Mark Benson, I asked him to sit down on this episode of the podcast, and I got an opportunity to chat with him. Mark's been a friend of mine for quite a few years, and having the opportunity to sit down and chat with him and record that conversation was really, really cool. I got to learn a lot about him, and it was just a really good time. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this conversation. This podcast was actually recorded at the brand new American Musicians Radio recording studio here in Salt Lake City. I cannot thank John Farmer enough for letting me record this episode of the podcast there. You can check out American Musicians Radio by going to amr.fm. All local music all the time, wherever you want to listen to local music from. Check it out. And if you're a local band, submit your music, and John will get it played on American Musicians Radio. So thanks so much, John, and thank you guys for your support. If you like the podcast, tell your family and friends. Drop me an email. My email is iamsaltlake@gmail.com. I'd love to hear from each and every one of you, what your thoughts are on the show, what your feedback, what you like, what you don't like. And if you want to come on a future episode, drop me an email as well. I'd love to hear your story about what you're up to here in Salt Lake City. So with that being said, I'm going to quit chatting. Let's jump into that conversation that I had with Mark Benson from Zao Asian Cafe. What did you get interested in first, photography or culinary arts?
Well, in high school, I got into photography, just took a class in like my first year of high school.
Okay.
And just, it was more of, I was always kind of leaning towards the arts. So I did like graphic design and a few things. Of course, that was the old school graphic design and the no computers. But
yeah.
I did a photography class for one semester, and I don't think I had enough drive to really learn, because back then it was film. And so we had to learn how to do the developing and all that stuff. And I remember running one roll of film, a couple rolls of film through the camera, and they were all almost black.
So this was before digital cameras even
were definitely
around. So, I mean, you're old school film.
Yeah, I don't even think there were cars yet.
You're not that old, Mark. Yeah. But so you were developing film, and I mean you were doing it all. I mean,
So we had to learn how to do the developing, and we were doing a lot of black and white at the time. It was just easier and cheaper. But yeah, we had the dark room in the school and everything like that.
Yeah.
So, but that never really didn't really pan out. It didn't last very long. So. And
then, I mean, were you always taking pictures from that point, or what point? I'm probably jumping ahead here a little bit, because you were actually doing photography full time for a while, correct or no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct. Uh-huh.
So, I mean, I want to get into, current state of everything, but I'm just curious how you developed into what you are today with everything. So like what got you interested? Hey, I can make some money with photography. Like, how did that happen?
Well, the photography, I still had my original camera that I had bought for like $150 back when I was 16 in high school.
Okay.
And it just, traveled around with me everywhere I went, moving from here and there. And I was living in Vegas at the time, and pulled the camera out. And I was like, hey, I want to get back into this again. I remember how fun it was. And so I just kind of picked the camera up, got a few rolls of film, drove out to the Red Rock Canyon out there on the west side of Las Vegas, and just started kind of taking pictures again. And so just to come on.
Always nature pictures, though, right?
Yeah.
Not much of the city, not much of Vegas.
Exactly.
Of the strippers and the the casinos.
I was just always drawn to the nature, and I think I'm naturally more of an introverted person, so it was easy to just go out there, and I didn't have to talk to somebody or direct someone to take pictures. So,
and while you were living in Vegas, I mean, what were you doing what was your job in Vegas? Were you a chef in Vegas at that time?
So I moved to Vegas in 2004 to pursue culinary arts. So I started going to Le Cordon Bleu there in Las Vegas. That was a 1.5-year program, and then I graduated and was working there, and I lived there, ended up staying until 2009.
Is that why you moved to Vegas and was to go to school?
Yeah, that was the only reason.
Yeah. And so how long were you in Vegas then for?
So that was about 6 years. Then moved back to Utah in 2009. But yeah.
And when did we meet? I'm trying to remember, because we met, actually, it was the first Insta Walk that I had set up here in Utah, correct? I mean, that was the first time we met. Uh-huh. We were Instagram buddies for a while, I guess, and then we met at an Insta Walk and, hit it off, I guess you would say, and started hanging out a little bit. And when we first started hanging out, I remember you were making like recipes up in your apartment, right?
Right.
And is that kind of when those were the recipes for Zao?
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Okay. So I'm just kind of jumping around on the timeline here. So, we'd get together, take pictures of downtown, buildings. That's what I like, the city stuff, that. And I think you were even helping me when I was taking some college classes, and I didn't really ask much at that time what exactly you were doing. I just thought you had a rad job that you got to just stay at home all day and come up with recipes.
Right.
Am I butchering what you were doing, or
No.
what exactly were you doing at this time?
No, I mean, during that, when we had first met, that's right about the time, or close to the time, when I was getting into Zao. And I was just working, helping the owner create recipes for everything that he had on the menu. And back then, it was just, it was just an idea. It was strictly an idea. We had no idea if it was even going to pan out or work.
But that was your only job at that time, was to stay home and make, for the most part, it was your job.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like a dream job.
It was. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. Do you care to share how you met the owner, the guy who started Zao? I mean, do you want to share that story or a little bit? I mean, because I know you shared it with me the other night, but let's share it again.
So basically, I was doing kind of back and forth freelance photography, and also having to supplement that with doing kind of personal chef work, private events, different things like that. At the time, I was working and doing by invitation only. I was a chef for about 5 of those dinners, and it was basically like a private dinner club that people could get invited to, and they would have it at different homes every time, and you'd basically just serve like a full course menu, and they would pair it with wines and things like that.
And you were getting paid for that?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, but it was, those were only like once a month maybe, or
here in Salt Lake.
Yeah, here in Salt Lake, once every 2 months. And the guy I was working with through by invitation only knew Dave Duffin, the owner currently of Zao now, and I just happened to be in a meeting at coffee shop downtown with this by invitation only owner, and he had another meeting with Dave right after mine, sitting in the coffee shop. So we basically just walked over, and he introduced me really quick, and he just asked me a couple questions. He asked me like 3 questions about Asian food, just random. And I was just told that he was working on an Asian concept that was up and coming, hopefully at some point in the future. And apparently the questions he asked, I must have answered correctly, because it did take some time. But about a year later, he contacted me again.
But so during this year, you never heard anything from him?
No, nothing.
You just thought, okay, this guy forgot about me.
Yeah.
Life goes on. I keep moving forward. Then he contacts you, and what happened?
So it was actually one of the last dinners that I did for the invitation only, and he actually stopped by for a second, and was talking to one of the other cooks that was working with me, in the kitchen, and this other cook was working for him at the time, but ended up having to took another job, and so the opportunity opened up for another cook or a chef to help start helping him create his menu. And so it just kind of happened to be just the right timing. I was kind of finishing up a private chef position with somebody, and was also working up in Park City a little bit, and he just asked me to start consulting for him a little bit. And then it just kind of bloomed from there. After about a month, he just asked me if I could work for him full time.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so then you were kind of coming up with some different menu ideas and different. I mean, I'm sure you had a lot of flops and a lot of, But let's actually. I want to jump right. Let's talk about the menu at Zao. I want to kind of get into that for a second. Say somebody's listening who hasn't eaten there, and well, how would you describe? I mean, what's on the menu?
So the menu, it's kind of an Asian meets American food, so to speak. More Vietnamese and Thai influences, I would say, than anything. And it's basically just kind of laid out fast casual. So you walk up into the line. We have 4 things on the menu. We have a rice bowls where you can get white, brown rice or rice noodles. And then we have 3 different sauces you can get on those bowls. We have a sandwich, a banh mi.
Which is delicious, by the way. Yeah. Oh, my gosh.
And then we have kind of a Korean, Asian-inspired tacos. And then we also have a salad. And you basically, any one of those 4 menu items, you can choose out of 4 different meats. We have a spice-rubbed chicken or steak. We have a house-made meatball. And then we have an organic tofu. And you basically choose that meat, and then the meats are priced accordingly, and that's what you pay for your meal. So even if you get chicken bowl, chicken tacos, it's the same price.
The items that you have on the menu now, like what made you decide, okay, these are what we need to go with? Did you have like people taste testing them?
Yeah, we
kind of see what they thought about them, how did the menu items that you currently have come to be?
The owner originally came to me. He already had most of the menu figured out that he wanted. So he knew that he wanted rice bowls. He knew that he wanted like the tacos. Possibly the salad, and then it was really, I think the banh mi was one that we kind of decided on when I had been in the picture after 6 months to a year. But he had most of it figured out. So what he was really missing was all the recipes for everything, all the sauces and just everything that was left.
I got you.
So,
what's your favorite menu item there, by the way?
I still really like the tacos.
Do you ever get sick of the food there?
No.
Yeah.
No, I eat there at least 5 times a week.
Anything on the menu item, like if for vegan people, that is a tofu vegan?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Tofu's vegan. It has a curry spice mix that goes in with it.
I just ask because I know I have a lot of vegan listeners.
Yeah, exactly.
And so
we have the rice bowls and the salads, as well as the tacos and the banh mi. You can all get vegan. It just depends on what you put on a few of those items. And we always let people know, especially we'll notice that they ask for tofu or something like that. And we'd immediately say, hey, this sauce might not be vegan. I would do this instead. But the rice bowls, 2 of the 3 sauces, we have a green curry that's vegan and gluten-free, and also our sweet soy sauce, which is also gluten-free and vegan. So we have those 2 options on the bowls. And then on the salad, also the salad dressing is a sesame ginger dressing, and that's vegan and gluten-free as well. And most of the sauces are gluten-free.
Is there any kind of like certification you have to go through with like getting to say, okay, this is gluten-free or this is vegan, or is it just kind of common knowledge?
Well, we definitely have to do some research on everything that we're doing. So any bottled sauce or other products, we have to make sure that it is. But the nice thing with our food is everything we're making is from scratch. So we know what goes into the food. So there's no surprises.
What made you decide you're located right on 400 South there? And what's the address? Feel free to plug the address, actually.
So it's 639 East, 400 South. and it's basically right across the street to the north from the Trader Joe's.
Yeah, so I'm sure everybody knows where the Trader Joe's is. Boom, right there. It's next to like a Verizon or something's right there.
Yeah, there's a Verizon store right next to us, and then there's Rumby, there's a Starbucks, massage place.
Right on the corner of 7th East, pretty much, in 4th South. How long has that location been open?
That's been open since June of last year.
So last summer you launched. I mean, what was the public's response like? I mean, were people pretty excited for this to come to Salt Lake? What was the response like for you?
The response, considering that we never had a grand opening, we just did a soft opening. It was really just to help us to kind of work out any other extra kinks. But it was immediately welcomed. And I think people are really sick of all the other fast food and the processed foods and things that they have to deal with on a regular basis.
Yeah.
People want fresh food, and that was really,
and it's not badly priced either.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's it. It's at a good price point.
Yeah.
It's fresh. You know what goes into the food, and you can eat there. We have regulars that come in like 3, sometimes 4 times a week. So,
and yet people probably still discovering you to this day, being like, oh my gosh, I drive by here all the time and I never knew this was here. This is amazing.
Yeah. I mean, really, if you think about it, between the 3 main counties here and there's really not a lot of people in those areas that really come to Salt Lake that much.
Yeah.
So let alone know that we're there. So it's really just kind of been slow word of mouth, Facebook, social media, all those types of things.
Is it pretty tough? I mean, because I know you dealt with a lot of the opening obstacles and a lot of the, different things to find a place to move to. But is it pretty tough to find a good location in downtown Salt Lake to have a restaurant or a thing like this? I think
it really depends on the concept.
Yeah.
The parking is always an issue. That's really why I think we kind of stayed away from the
downtown,
immediate downtown area.
Parking is ridiculous down there.
It's really it's difficult. You have to kind of maintain downtown. You really have to have a lot of walking customers that are already kind of out and about or in businesses. But as far as any other people kind of in the suburban areas, they're probably going to lean towards just a few blocks each direction where they don't have to pay for parking either.
Yeah.
So.
And you got plenty of free parking right in your
and all the parking's free around that place.
It's kind of sad though that Salt Lake we worry about parking, and we're not even really that big of a city if you think about the big picture of things.
Right.
Like we have an issue with parking, and it blows my mind. So
yeah.
You just recently opened up another location though, Zao, right?
Yeah, so we just opened.
Recently, like last month.
Yeah,
or
it's
two,
like
right?
a week and a half ago now in Sandy. That's at 116th South on Automall Drive, and it's right between. There's a Costco and a Shields right there. It's right between on the frontage road there, which is Automall Drive. Yeah.
So if you're not making like menu items still, I mean, what is your exact role? Like, do you have a title or do you want to, I mean, what?
Well, right now I'm kind of the chef of operations.
Yeah. Manager, chef of operations.
Yeah. So it's a bit more of a corporate position at this point. So I don't necessarily just work out of one store anymore.
Yeah.
It's a lot of keeping up procedures and quality and consistency between the two stores.
Do you see yourself still creating new ideas for the menu, or are you pretty set with that?
Oh no, absolutely no. We've got a few things
brewing,
brewing. I can't really say anything yet.
No,
definitely. There's more room. Obviously, we have 4 menu items, so there's plenty of room for a little more Zao.
So with the new location just opened, the one downtown. Anything in the works, or you're nothing that you could really talk about yet?
We can definitely talk about it. I mean, we plan on having a third location, probably more in the central part of the valley between the 2 locations right now, the downtown and the Sandy one. And we're definitely looking in other outer areas, other counties right now. So,
I mean, pretty much the sky's the limit. You want to expand this. Do you see it ever leaving Utah? I mean, why not? I guess.
I think it's absolutely.
Yeah,
I think it's very possible.
Yeah. You're a hard worker. You put a lot of hours in. What motivates you as a person? Like, what keeps you going? I mean, besides a paycheck.
Well, I really think at this point, kind of what Zao represents, we're really starting to work and build a culture in our management right now that we want to help kind of trickle down into the rest of the company. of just kind of living more positively, focusing more on kind of what, like, gratitude. It's funny, we have our meetings and we actually kind of talk about, for about 15 to 20 minutes, more about our gratitude, kind of what we're positive things that we're seeing and working towards in the company. So it's the first part of our meetings are never about profit or business or anything else, but just making sure that we're all okay first.
And do you see that kind of trickling into your day-to-day life?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just your home life and
Absolutely.
And when you're not at work.
Yeah, I would say in the last few years I've been, it's coming up on 3 years with Zao now. I was used to working in kitchens where chefs were, running them like drill sergeants and just treating people like crap. Just high turnover, restaurants where it's just people come in, they leave, they hire new people, they already know it's going to happen. But just a lot of lack of respect for other people and just a lot of.
And you're lucky to find that in a job. I mean, if it sounds like you found it with Zao. When you're home though, like let's say you're home, it's a Sunday, you're at home. What do you like to cook? What is Mark? I'm sure you're not cooking Asian stuff all the time. You're making up stir fry and fancy. What are some of your favorite things to cook or make up?
Yeah, I would definitely say I don't cook.
Or are you like a bowl of cereal kind of guy? Like
I don't cook much Asian food at home. I do have to admit that. My background is more fine dining, American cuisine, so that's usually what I kind of focus on. I mean, even for instance, with Valentine's Day, I cooked up. Yeah,
what'd you make the wife?
Yeah. So I cooked filet mignon. We did some steamed asparagus. Did some Yukon Gold mashed potatoes with herbs and cream, and then I did some crab cakes that I hadn't cooked. Man, I hadn't done crab cakes in a few years, so it was actually really nice to get back into doing some of these nice things. But that was a little bit more of an extreme. But
and do you use like a recipe book, or are you just kind of doing this all just no, it's whatever freehand? No. I don't know what's the fancy terms for that. Is there like a chef term?
Intuitive cooking, basically.
Intuitive
cooking. But I think most of the time we're really focusing on eating healthier. So we try to incorporate, like, we love sweet potatoes, and they're actually really good for you as long as you're not loading butter and sugar onto them. A lot of salads, grains, quinoa. I try to have a little oatmeal and fresh fruit, nuts in the morning for breakfast. And
do you eat much like much fast food these days or anything like that? You kind of occasionally, I guess you probably eat.
I mean.
Well, you just sound so fancy with all the quinoa and the fresh vegetables. It was like, gosh, this guy probably never enjoys a McDouble or something.
It's so easy it's easy for me to cook these things. I can throw any meal together in like 15 minutes at home.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. I can see, like, I have a red pepper left, half of a red pepper, half of an onion. I've got a little turkey sausage left over and some quinoa. I can make anything in 15 minutes and turn it into, so for me, it's easy. But someone else, they're like, oh my God.
Well, see, like me, I like to cook, but I couldn't just think of things,
But yeah, I mean, I'd have to admit, even tonight, I'd probably have to stop off somewhere and get something quick.
Well, yeah. And I mean, I'm not getting on Taco Bell or fast food. We all have those type of things, but,
I have a question.
Yeah.
If you don't mind.
No. Get on the microphone over here.
No. I mean, I didn't want to kill your show, man. I've been sitting back here in my office listening, and when you said, "Oh, it's all about fresh foods," I'm like giving you thumbs up, like, thank God, But especially for restaurants these days. But so you're talking about just taking small bits of food here and there, and then making a meal out of it. And I know that there's so many people out there that have food left over from a night previous or something like that, and they just want to make something and keep on the health kick, but they just don't know what to do with it. Is there
like where to start?
Where to start?
How do you do it?
I mean, how do you do it? Is there something that maybe are you able to teach people, or I mean, is that something that's kind of come across your mind that you said, I wouldn't mind teaching classes for people to do something? I mean, is that how do you do it that way?
Well, to get to your question with just having leftover bits of food, I think it's usually a problem that most people will have when they do cook at home. and their recipe calls for half of this or this and that, and they're inevitably going to have something left over.
But wouldn't you say a lot of it is just experience, cooking a lot. So, okay, throw this and this together and it's going to make this up.
Right. Yeah. And that's what it kind of gets back to the intuitive cooking. I wouldn't say that I've thought about actually teaching classes.
Yeah.
But I did have an idea for trying to do a cookbook that was kind of based off of that type of,
so you would like
concept.
to make a cookbook then?
I think.
Or are you in the process secretly making one?
I thought about it, but once I got, full on into Zao, then I just didn't have any time.
When I was, 18, 19 years old, I was vegan and, I made a little cook zine, and I basically collected, it was about only like 50 different recipes. And I just went to Kinko's, printed them out, and I actually sold a few hundred copies of it. And I always thought that'd be fun to put a recipe book together. I think you should do it, Mark.
Yeah, maybe if there's like 27 hours in a day, I could probably fit those other 3 just for the cookbook, I think.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're constantly going. I mean, you're newly married. What else do you enjoy doing? I mean, spending time with her, I'm sure. I mean, when you're not at Zao, what are some of your other hobbies and interests, or what's been keeping you busy these days outside of work?
Well, I think right now I would say
your kitty cats.
My cats, always. I think other than that, we're turning into major foodies.
How so?
We try to spend any time that we have on the weekend. Even on Friday night, we've started going to Tasha's Ramen.
Oh my gosh! I'm glad you brought that place up. It is amazing.
Oh yeah, yeah. So we started going there. I've checked in there like 9 times on Yelp. I think I think it actually said I have the most check-ins there, but I know it's far more because I wasn't checking in the beginning. But that's kind of become our Friday night kind of habit that we have.
I might have to crash your party and join you one of these times.
You should. But I try to tell everyone about it. Well,
sometimes you go there and the lines are ridiculous.
Oh, always.
I got in there one time in under 10 minutes. I was shocked. And wow. I swear it was a weekend. I think it was before 6 o'clock though.
But that's one of the things. And I think on Saturday, we usually try to go hit up at least a few coffee shops. Yeah. I'm pretty much a coffee addict, and now I'm turning into a coffee snob.
Do you have any favorite like coffee shops or anything in the area that you want to?
I was really happy when La Barba opened up inside of Finca, and I think they're doing an amazing job. I think anybody that's roasting their own beans or using locally roasted beans, and not to sound like a local only kind of snob, but at the same time, it's
important to support local.
It's very important,
yeah, and
it's very fresh. And when it comes to coffee, you have to get it fresh. If you get it from the grocery store, it's already 3 months old at least. So I'm a big supporter in that.
What are some of your favorite things about living in Salt Lake?
I think Salt Lake, to me, especially after coming back from Vegas for 6 years, I enjoy the more small town feel of Salt Lake. Even though I really feel like it's growing a lot, I feel like not such a small fish in a big pond.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm relevant. I feel like after I came back here that I can actually be a part of the culture here and not just
you don't just drown and
yeah, exactly. And that's what I felt like in Vegas. I felt like it wouldn't matter what I did. I'd have to sell my soul to even make a name in Las Vegas. And it just wasn't who I was.
Yeah, because I mean you've lived in a few big cities. And I mean, obviously you picked Salt Lake, and I mean, same with myself. And you always hear these people, oh, I can't wait to move. I can't wait to get away. But it's like, it's not a bad place to live.
No, it's not. And when I did move away from here in 2004, I had been here for quite a few years. But when I did leave, I was tired of it. I wanted something different. I was tired of I just needed a change. But when I came back, I was like, man, this place is amazing. I love it. It's beautiful. You're so close to everything, the mountains, the ski resorts. And it's just, I felt immediately relevant again. Like I could actually make a difference within 5 to 10 years and make a name for myself. And at the time, I didn't know if it was going to be as a chef or a photographer or, what it was. So
If you could change something about Salt Lake, is there anything you would change?
I would probably want two things to be changed. Number one, the air quality here in the wintertime.
Yeah, that's
a
all?
big one. That's a big one for me. I'm even a little stuffed up right now from it, but I think the other thing would just be a little bit more culturally diverse and accepting of kind of.
But don't you think we're getting better here, though?
Yeah,
don't you? I mean, I think
absolutely.
Salt Lake is a pretty liberal city for the most part.
Yeah, it is, and really, I
compared
guess
to the other little towns outside of it.
Yeah, so I would say really my second wish for Salt Lake is already, it's already coming true.
You wouldn't change our liquor laws, Mark? Come on. You know what? People complain about them. I don't think they're that bad. It could be worse.
It could be. I mean, really, it's not, you can still get what you need as long as you plan it out properly. It's really, it's not bad.
Yeah.
It could be worse. It could be dry.
Let's say you won $1 million. You drove up to play the lottery in Idaho or something. However, you won $1 million. What's the first thing you would do with that $1 million?
I would probably pay my house off. First thing.
Fair enough.
And probably my car. I think after that, it would definitely be investing it into something.
Kind of like a business venture, or just something.
I think
general.
for now, I would probably just find a way to invest it somehow, and eventually have something there that I could invest into a business in the future.
You and I, we've been to a few concerts together, seen a few bands in our days. What's your most memorable concert? What's the most memorable concert in your mind that you've been to?
Well, I would say one of the ones that kind of stands out is the Fantagram and the Ghostland Observatory. Just because I was excited to see Fantagram at the time because they were just up and coming, and then right afterwards, I think the light show, the laser smoke show they did with Ghostland Observatory was just so cool. It was so different than anything I had seen in the park there at the time because it was dark and it was just like
it's down at twilight, right?
Yeah, twilight, yeah. And it was just kind of like a big rainbow ceiling or something.
For people listening, Mark is a Twilight fanatic. You love the Twilight concerts. Nothing wrong with it. It's just you're there every week.
Well, this past year I missed quite a few of it, but there was a while there. I was actually doing photography. I had a press pass for the first few years when it was at Pioneer Park. So that was.
Don't you have a website? Don't you, or do you? Is that public or is it up?
No.
Okay, I was going to say I thought you had a website with some of your pictures.
Yeah, at one point I did. I just couldn't keep it up anymore.
Yeah.
I wasn't adding anything new to it. So,
what music have you been playing on your iPod? Any bands that you've been enjoying lately, or old school, new school, doesn't really matter.
You know what's funny? Like no matter what I play, it always goes back to Pink Floyd usually.
Do you have a favorite Pink Floyd album?
I have Dark Side of the Moon disc in my car, and it has been playing on loop for about the last month and a half. So I think besides that, I usually kind of go back and forth with Pandora and
in Spotify or stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's how I am. I just kind of turn it on, shuffle, let it go, and see what, if you could learn something new, if you could teach yourself anything, what would you like to learn?
I think right now I'd actually like to learn to speak Spanish, like learn another language.
Yeah. Do you know any other languages?
No.
Yeah, that's how I am. But I keep saying I got to learn Spanish, especially with it more and more used here, in the United States. I think it's important to know other languages and
I would say besides that, fresh on my mind, I think I was thinking about it yesterday, is I would love to be like a garage coffee roaster.
Like a hobbyist.
Yeah,
but
like a hobbyist.
Making coffee.
Yeah,
so not brewing beer or something like that, but roasting coffee.
Roasting.
Is that tough to learn how to do that?
I imagine so. I think just.
Do you know anything about it?
No.
No. I didn't know if there was like a book or something.
No, I imagine just the equipment involved and everything else. I've read enough about it to know that that might have to be that $1 million investment that I get from the lottery. So
I couldn't imagine it would be that expensive though to kind of just start dabbling.
Maybe
in it.
you start with just a small machine or something. But I also want to get a really nice espresso machine. I think that's maybe coming Christmas time. Who knows?
What's the last movie you watched?
Oh,
or are you a big movie watcher?
I am.
Yeah.
Oh, man. What was that? I can't remember at the moment.
What about TV? You have any favorite TV shows?
Oh, The Walking Dead for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great show.
Walking Dead, and I was so sad when Breaking Bad ended.
What about that the new one, Better Call Saul? I haven't watched it yet. Did you get it? Didn't they play the first episode or second episode
I watched,
now? No spoilers, but did you like it?
Yeah. I watched the first one, I think.
Okay.
I think it's going to take a few episodes to get kind of the mood and the kind of what they're trying to portray, because it's kind of jumping around a little bit, but I think it could be good. It's just nice to at least live vicariously through one of the characters still. So Breaking Bad's not totally gone yet.
Yeah,
basically. So it's kind of cool.
If you could have any superpower, what superpower would you pick?
I'd want to fly for sure.
Back to the food. Is there since you're a food guy and a chef and all that, is there a food you won't eat? Do you have like a food I will not eat that? Like me, it's like anchovies or something like that.
Man, that's. I really don't. I'll eat just about anything.
There's got to be a food, though, that you just like liver or something like that. Like my mom used to make liver as a kid. Mm-hmm. It's like,
I think if anything, maybe chitlins or, something like that. I remember I had a friend whose dad was cooking it in the kitchen when I was like 12 or 13 or something like that. And it just was so foul. And ever since that smell is just, I can still smell it. So I think it's probably about the only thing. Any kind of intestines probably wouldn't be into as much.
What's your favorite song to belt out in your car when you're by yourself? Taylor Swift.
No. No, I think I was actually singing the female vocals to one of the Pink Floyd songs the other day, where they kind of go into the kind of the singing in there. There wasn't necessarily words, but just kind of, I can't remember what song it was even, but yeah, so that's embarrassing a little bit.
No, that's what I wanted to know, Mark. With spring around the corner, well, it's felt like spring all winter pretty much here in Salt Lake. But what are you looking forward to? I mean, summer's around the corner. Spring. What do you like? I mean, this is the time of year that Salt Lake becomes alive. I mean, what are some things you're looking forward to?
I really want to get a barbecue.
Okay.
I just got a home. I just bought a home in last June last year, and it was just by the time summer was over and everything else, we were opening Zao and everything else was happening, so I just didn't have time.
And you want to do some barbecuing?
I want to do some barbecuing for sure.
Yeah.
I will.
You're a farmer's market fanatic, so I'm sure you're looking forward to farmer's market.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And all that, but
yeah, that'll be good. A lot more. I do a lot more cooking at home during that time. A lot of fresh stuff. I was even doing my different ice cream like every week for a while.
That's right. You were making homemade ice cream there for a minute.
I'd get like the Layton strawberries or just different fruits that I would just pick up and try different things. Even did like a honey lavender with some local lavender one time. So
I've enjoyed sitting down talking with you. I mean, seriously, it's I've learned some new things about you. I mean, how do you care to plug anything? Like people can find you on Instagram. I know that. I mean, how can people find you on Instagram, or how can they find more about Zao in the Facebook page, I guess, or what's the best?
So let's see. Instagram is just Zao Asian Cafe. Same with Facebook. And then we're on Twitter. Same thing, Zao Asian Cafe. And basically we have the two locations. So we have the downtown one that's at 639 East, 400 South.
And what are the hours? You might as well plug the hours.
So the hours Monday through Saturday are 10:30 a.m. to 10 p.m. And then Sundays are 12 to 8 right now.
And that's at both locations?
That's at both locations. And then the other location, again, is 116 South on Auto Mall Drive between Shields and Costco. Yeah, and that's just been open for not even 2 weeks yet.
And people can Google it, ZAO, right? That's
ZAO. Asian Cafe.
To find the address if for some reason you don't write it down, or you can look at the show notes for this episode. I'll put them up on the website.
You can go on Yelp as well.
Go on Yelp. What do you think of Yelp, really quickly? I mean, don't you think Yelp can make or break a business?
I
have mixed feelings about Yelp.
Yelp can be scary because, I mean, right now it's definitely favorable for us. We have 4.5 stars at the downtown location, which has been open longer.
And don't you wonder who didn't give you 5 stars? I mean, it's like, come on.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even when I go on Yelp, I can be a tough critic, so I know how it is. But yeah, it can be hard. You can have a few people that maybe it's not their thing, or maybe it's the first week when you open a restaurant or any new restaurant anywhere here in town. I'm sure has those same struggles, and it's unfortunate that some people can lash out and just, a paragraph can ruin a business. It's amazing. But
it's because that mark is permanently there. Yeah. I mean, that review, and it's like, gosh, I don't know. I mean, I understand I review things, and I'm a critic for my own things as well, but I don't know. Yelp can be a tough audience sometimes.
Can be, but can also be a real reflection on it can be a great tool as well. Cause you can take all those comments and concerns or compliments and like for me, I tried to answer as many of the people on there as possible. It's been a little more hectic lately, but I try to at least give people an opportunity to let us fix something if they weren't pleased. But that really, I haven't seen that happen. In the very beginning with the first store, obviously just kind of working out kinks, but it's been very good.
Yeah.
To us. I think we're 4.5 stars at the downtown and 5 at the Sandy one so far. So,
I mean, I use Yelp all the time. I was just curious as especially a food, place.
And that can be the hardest with food,
versus a business or a shop or something. But, anything else you want to add, Mark? I mean, it was great chatting with you. I mean, I really appreciate you taking some time out of your schedule and sitting down and sharing a little bit of your story, and giving an opportunity to see, kind of some different things that, somebody who works in the food industry, a chef, some different things you've gone through. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm glad you talked to me about this. I think, like I said, we've known each other from the first.
About 5 years, hasn't it been? I mean, isn't that when I swear it's been at least 4 or 5 years.
It was like 2010 or.
Yeah, so I think,
something like that.
Because I'm trying to remember how many summers ago we did that first Insta walk.
Yeah, and it's funny how I made so many friends from that one instance. And since then, there's been different reincarnations of it. There's been other people that have had other photography interests. I even went to one that was for the Alpine film. Mm-hmm. They, just a lot of different people that realize that it's a great way to market, to network, and just
I need to put another one together. I need to do another Insta walk, maybe in May. Do figure out exactly when we did that first walk, and because I know David did one. Was it last year? I don't know. He tried to do one, and then, or maybe it was 2. I don't know. It doesn't matter.
A few, but
people that listen to the podcast always see me posting about these Insta walks, and I think some of them are kind of skeptical. Oh, is that going to be fun? It's fun.
Oh man, yeah, it's great, and it's a good way for either just strictly enthusiasts, budding photographers, professionals. It doesn't matter what it is. It's just nice because it's a nice forum where you don't have to feel like intimidated or anything. It's just a way for everyone to kind of learn from each other.
Absolutely.
And it's great.
Speaking of photography, and then we'll wrap this up. But like, what are some cool camera shops around town that you would recommend?
Oh, definitely.
Because I know a lot of people. I was just talking to somebody the other day about like film photography, for example. And they're like, "Oh, where do you go develop film?" And I was telling them about Picture Line and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think the Acme in Sugar House is really cool.
Okay.
They're masters at social media and everything. They really know how to get people's attention when they do a lot of they'll have like a special of the day where they have a camera lens or a camera that you can come in and rent for $5. That would usually be like $30 or $40. They also rent out older Polaroids
So you can rent it out, go have some fun with it.
And they sell the film for the Polaroids there, so you can grab a pack there and go shoot it, and maybe one of the pictures turns out the rest of them are garbage, but it's a lot of fun. You kind of get to learn new things. They also do student rentals for people in photography classes. You can rent a camera and a lens for a whole semester for it was like $30 or it was really cheap. So I like any companies like that, and also the Photo Collective, the Salt Lake City Photo Collective. Anyone like that's kind of giving back to the community. Over at the Photo Collective, they do studio rentals and things like that, and they're very affordable. And they even have a dark room there now, so you can go there and develop
at the Photo Collective. They do.
So any businesses like that are working on giving back, I think, are definitely good for the community. I think it's great.
Well, cool. Yeah. So go check those places out. Eat at Zao. If you see Mark,
eat at Zao 2 or 3 times a week.
Yeah,
it's okay.
2 to 3 times a week.
We understand.
Do you have like a buy 10 get one free, like frequent shopper?
We do have a lot of people asking about loyalty programs, so it's definitely something in the works.
Okay, I'm not trying to pressure you into it. I was just curious.
That and gift cards. And
yeah. I mean, come on,
Definitely.
All right, many thanks goes out to Mark Benson for coming on this episode of the podcast. You can find Zao Asian Cafe on the internet at zaoasiancafe.com. Do a search in Facebook. They're on Facebook. Make sure to give them a like. Check them out. Head on over there and get some of their delicious food. And if you see Mark, let him know you heard him on the I Am Salt Lake podcast. Hey, if you want to support the show, remember to leave us a review in iTunes. That helps support the podcast in so many ways. It helps boost our ratings, gets it exposed to more people. Also, if you have any of your favorite episodes, feel free to share that with your family and friends on Facebook and Twitter. And don't forget, you can email me at iamsaltlake@gmail.com. I'd love to hear from each and every one of you. You guys have a great week, and thank you so much for listening.